Kali Yuga is very mysterious topic. People often get confused about this particular Yuga thing because they don't know exactly the chronological order of these yugas according to these Veds and ancient Indian texts. In this episode, we will be providing you complete information about Kali Yuga, what does actually Kali Yuga means, and how did actually it starts according to ancient Indian text. We will also tell you a little story from Mahabharata, and we will give you some assumptions according to this particular ancient Indian text about future and our today's world. Even if you notice by yourself that so many things which were mentioned in Mahabharata and Ramayana thousands of years ago, they actually predicted future very well, and they knew what exactly going to happen in future. So without wasting time, let's start this very exciting episode because it's 21st episode and we are living in 21st century. So we thought that why would not make it very special. So this is Yash Patel. You are listening to Novel series by Stratify India. Let's start exploring. So our first and very interesting topic is what does actually Kali Yuga means. So in Hinduism, Kali Yuga is the fourth and present age of the world cycle of yugas or ages. It's also the end of the four ages that comprise a cycle and is often referred to as the Dark Age. Various dates have been given, including 2012 and 2082, that our world will get destroyed and Pralay thing will come and destroy everything from this world. It's believed that Kali Yuga begins with the death of Lord Krishna, estimated as having occurred between 3102 and 3113 BCE. So it's not accurate, but there is some time between these centuries, and that's where the actually Lord Krishna died or the death happened. But after that, the Yuga changes from Dwapar Yuga to this Kali Yuga, and that's where all things get changes. In Hindu belief, the Kali Yuga leads to destruction of the world and the creation of new cycle of the four yugas, as we have mentioned about this particular thing in our past episode of Big Bang Theory part 2. So you can check out that episode also if you have not listened over that podcast. It's very interesting if you are especially interested in space or cosmos, because we have actually provided you information about ancient India, that how they actually explained this whole universe theories, just like Big Bang Theory at that particular time, which is so accurate. So make sure to check out that episode also. But let's continue this episode right now. The Sanskrit term Kali has multiple meanings. So it can be defined as strife, quarrel, discord, or conflict. So as you can see that there is always a conflict like word or conflict like meaning of this particular Kali word, and that's what they meant actually by this Kali Yuga. We will tell you about it in upcoming few minutes. So let's understand the chronological order of these yugas, because people get often confused about this particular chronological order, that what exactly the order of these yugas. They know that first one is Satyuga and last one is Kali Yuga, but people get confused at two yugas, which is Treta Yuga and Dwapar Yuga. People think that Treta Yuga is third yuga, which is wrong. The actual chronological order of the yugas are Satyuga, then comes Treta Yuga, then comes Dwapar Yuga, and then in the last but not least comes Kali Yuga. So let's understand these yugas in brief so that you can get idea. So Satyuga is also known as Krita Yuga. This is the age of truth, virtue and rightness. So that's how this Satyuga was represented in ancient Indian text. If you talk about Treta Yuga, then this is the age of mankind and represents a 1/4 decline in spirituality. After this comes Dwapar Yuga, and in that particular age, spirituality continues to decline and virtue and sin show up in equal measure. So that is what important about this particular yuga. And when we talk about Kali Yuga, then this age is all about conflict, and it's described as 1/4 virtue and 3/4 of sin. So it's crazy how they explain this yuga in their text especially. Now let's talk about how did actually Kali Yuga starts. We will tell you the merits and demerits of Kali Yuga. In the Uttarakhand of Ramcharitmanas, Goswami Tulsidas ji has described Kali Yuga very accurately. But before that, let's understand what does actually Kali Yuga means. So Kali Yuga simply means discord, as I have mentioned earlier. Wherever there is discord, there is Kali Yuga. When Lord Sri Krishna ji had gone to his world after doing his Leela in this world, after that this Dwapar Yuga was over and Kali Yuga has arrived. Now let's talk about how old is Kali Yuga. It has been told in our scriptures that Kali Yuga will last for 4,32,000 years, which is calculated as follows. So according to the Puranas, 1 year of human is equal to 1 Ahoratra, which means day and night of gods. So it's 24 hours for gods basically, in which Uttarayan is considered as day and Dakshinayan is considered to be night. Actually, the period from one Surya Sankranti to another Surya Sankranti is called solar month. On the basis of these divine years of deities, the duration in human solar years of these 4 yugas is followed by like this, which I will be mentioning now. So Satyug contains 4,800 divine years, which is equal to 17,28,000 solar years. If you talk about Treta Yuga, then it contains 3,600 divine years, which is equal to 12,96,100 solar years. Comes to Dwapar Yuga, it contains 2,400 divine years, which is equal to 8,64,000 solar years. And last but not least, Kali Yuga contains 1,200 divine years, which is equal to 4,32,000 solar years. So you can see that the cycle or the yuga or the ages of this yuga are actually getting lower and lower constantly. So Satyug lasted over like 4,800 divine years, and Kali Yuga will last for like 1,200 divine years. When Mother Ganga and Govardhan mountain will disappear, the core Kali Yuga will come into play, and at that time proper sin and proper destruction, mass destruction will be presented all over the world. And at that time you can say that it's actually Kali Yuga. Let me tell you one story about Kali Yuga from Mahabharata, and this story actually is the explanation of Kali Yuga, which is represented in Mahabharata. So once the 4 Pandavas except Yudhishthira, who was not present at that time, asked Krishna that what is Kali Yuga. Krishna smiled and said, "Let me demonstrate to you the situation of Kali Yuga practically." He took a bow and 4 arrows and shot them in 4 directions and ordered the 4 Pandavas to go and bring them back. Each of the 4 Pandavas went in the 4 different directions to search for the arrows. When Arjuna picked an arrow, he heard a very sweet voice. He turned around and saw a cuckoo singing in a spellbinding voice, but was also eating flesh of a live rabbit which was in great pain. Arjuna was very surprised to see such a gory act by such a divine bird. he left the place immediately. Bhima picked arrow from a place where 5 wells were situated. The 4 wells were surrounding a single well. The 4 wells were overflowing with very sweet water, as if they were not able to hold water, and surprisingly the well in the middle of these 4 overflowing wells was completely empty. Bhima was also puzzled at this sight. Now Nakula was returning to the place after picking up the arrow. He stopped at a place where a cow was about to give birth. After giving birth, the cow started licking the calf, but continued to lick even after the calf was clean. With great difficulty, people were able to separate them, and by that the time calf was injured badly. Nakula was also puzzled by the behavior of such a calm animal. Sahadeva picked arrow which fell near a mountain and saw a big boulder falling. The boulder was crushing the rocks and big trees on its way down, but the same boulder was stopped by a small plant. Sahadeva was also amazed at this sight. After this, all Pandava asked the meaning of these incidents which happened to them. Krishna smiled and started explaining that in Kali Yuga the priest will have very sweet voice and will also have great knowledge, but they will exploit devotees the same way Cuckoo was doing with the rabbit. And here I am not specifically saying priest, it can be guru or any religious person who is trying to give you knowledge about particular religion. I am not targeting any guru or any religion, but that's what they mention in the text. So I am just repeating it. Krishna continues to tell that in Kali Yuga, poor will live among rich. Those rich will have enormous amount of wealth which will actually overflow, but they will not offer a single penny to the poor, same as the 4 wells did not have a single drop of water for the empty well. Also in Kali Yuga, parents will love their child so much that their love will actually spoil them and will destroy their lives, similar to the love shown by cow to her newborn calf. So that's how they explained this particular situation. Also explaining the last situation, Krishna said that in Kali Yuga people will fall in terms of character like the boulder from the mountains, and they will not be stopped by anyone. At the end, only the name of God will be able to hold them from doom, like the little plant held the boulder from further fell. So that's how this 4 situation explained by Krishna at that particular time to Pandavas. And this particular story was actually the part of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. And yeah, let's continue how actually Kali Yuga starts. So the duration and chronological starting point in human history of Kali Yuga has given rise to different evolution and interpretations. According to the Surya Siddhanta, Kali Yuga began at midnight on 18 February 3102 BCE in the proleptic Julian calendar. And if we convert this particular date into proleptic Georgian calendar, then it's 14 January 3102 BC. So this date is also considered by many Hindus to be the day that Krishna left earth. After Mahabharata, Krishna left the earth, and it was written right after Krishna avatar, Kali Yuga will get started. Kali Yuga, however, was waiting since a long time. So Kali Yuga asks for the permission to Krishna. He said, प्रभु मैं बहुत समय से इंतज़ार कर रहा हूँ, ये युग अब मेरा है, किंतु आपके जाने के पश्चात ही मैं इस युग में आ सकता हूँ. Which means that he eagerly waiting for this particular yuga, and he wants that this yuga is his. So he waits for Krishna to left earth so that he can get control over whole world. After this conversation, Krishna allows him to come to the earth and he went away. But the problem was everyone at that particular time was religious and into good things. Kali Yuga had no place to live. So he again called God and said that where he can actually live, because everyone is so good, so mannerful, so virtue that there is no way he can live at this world. So God suggests him to enter into the gold, and Kali Yuga enters into the gold crown. Later on, Praksit, the grandson of Arjun, won that particular crown in battle. Praksit was devotee and he was good person. One day he went for shikar wearing the crown. Because that crown had the Kali Yuga in it, his mental ability was not stable. He started thinking negatively. Praksit kills a snake and he pulled it over the neck of Sadhu who was doing meditation. Sadhu went, opened his eyes, he saw dead snake on his shoulders. Sadhu becomes very angry and gave the shrap to Praksit. He said that you will die in 7 days. When Praksit came back to home, after pulling off the crown, he realized that he made very big mistake. He went to the Sadhu again for mercy, but Sadhu replied that shrap are words and cannot come back. You will die within 7 days from today. Better you should do good work within these days. After 7 days, Praksit dies and Kali Yuga comes into existence. According to some astronomers and mathematicians like Aryabhatta, the Kali Yuga started in 3102 BC. Now let's discuss some events which can happen or which are just happening at this particular time. A discourse by Markandeya in the Mahabharata identifies some of the attributes of Kali Yuga in relation to rulers. So I will be mentioning that particular attributes. So rulers will become unreasonable, they will levy taxes unfairly. Rulers will no longer see it as their duty to promote spirituality or to protect their subjects. They will become a danger to the world. People will start migrating, seeking countries where wheat and barley from the staple food source. Avarice and wrath will be common. Humans will openly display animosity towards each other. Ignorance of dharma will also occur. People will have thoughts of murder with no justification and will see nothing wrong in that. Lust will be viewed as socially acceptable and sexual intercourse will be seen as the central requirement of life. Sin will increase exponentially. Village virtue will fade and cease to flourish. People will take vows and break them soon after. People will become addicted to intoxicating drinks and drugs also. Gurus will no longer be respected and their student will attempt to injure them. Their teaching will be insulted and followers of Kama will wrest control of the mind from all human beings. Brahmins will not be learned or honored. Kshatriya will not be brave. Vaisyas will not be just in their dealings. So these all things are kind of happening or for sure will happen in future. So that's how ancient India actually explained this Kali Yuga in past time. So this was like just one step to Kali Yuga. But in upcoming episode we will discuss about Ghor Kali Yuga and how this Ghor Kali Yuga will start, how Devil Kali will be born and who is actually Devil Kali, what can stop Kali Yuga. Also we will tell you about Kalki and much more. So stay connected with us. So you can just subscribe us or follow us on Spotify so that you will never miss our episodes. Thank you so much for listening to me. I will meet you in next episode.